Hello, I'm Greg, EG.IdrA Fields, and this is an EG replay review. Today I'll be looking at a ladder game of me versus MVP Tails on the map Daybreak. This is me as the red Zerg in bottom left, and MVP Tails as the blue Protoss in the top right. This will be a look at a ling baneling style I've been playing recently, and how to use it to defend really early Warpgate rushes. MVP Tails has it seems unique. I don't believe I've seen any other Protoss do it. Unique, really early Warpgate rush where he opens with a gateway expand instead of a forge expand. Uses the gateway to get much faster cybernetic score and therefore a much faster Warpgate upgrade. And so his Warpgate timing hits a little bit earlier than the standard Warpgate timing. So this is actually very strong against Stefano's style where he goes up to roaches only once he gets 70 supply worth of drones. That is timed out to beat the normal Warpgate timing, however this comes before that. That's actually how Stefano ended up losing to Inori at MLG Columbus, a very similar situation. This is also very powerful versus the ling baneling style that I've been using, so I'll just demonstrate some tactics and how to deal with that style in this game. You open up with a normal 15 pool into 3 hatcheries with no gas. And when we see Tails with, this is the deviation, he has the pylon in his main, he'll get a gateway immediately, and then just go ahead and go gateway expansion without the Forge FE. Protosses have gotten much better at defending early on, and Zergs have just moved away from early aggression in general. Therefore, the Forge FE, while it is safer, is slightly unnecessary. And although it does secure you a better economy, obviously it delays your tech by quite a bit. And because Zergs have gotten so precise and so crisp with their timings, they kind of disregard the threat of earlier rushes because they know when Protoss is supposed to be able to attack. So the fact that this build gives Protoss a much earlier attack makes it very powerful and dangerous. However, it does have a weaker economy. It is a slightly risky build. So if you are aware of this style and you do know how to counter it, you can end up in a very good situation. So it's just a matter of scouting what they do and then reacting to it properly. And here you can see the gas go down after the Nexus. It's still a very early Nexus. It's essentially the same time as Forge FE. The only difference is you don't have a cannon, so you have to spend resources on units and an additional building walls early on, and that takes away from your economy. Also, you're spending Chrono Boost on the Warpgate upgrade as soon as that finishes, and you don't have the early Forge for the +1 upgrade, so just a few gives and takes within this build. Everything is focused on getting out that early Warpgate timing. And here, building up, expansion's on the way, put down a 3rd hatchery as soon as I have the resources for it, immediate double queen. I actually went hatchery first this game. This is because I knew that Tails does this build, and that is the one downside of this. Without that early forge, there's no potential for a cannon rush against the hatch first expansion, which means hatch first expansion is a safe option versus this build, which gives Zerg a much better economy than they're used to. So that is another downside of this build. However, it's entirely dependent on guesswork essentially, as you don't want to drone scout that early ZvP. It's just not worth the hit to your economy. So you don't really know if they're doing this build or not, unless it's a player like Tails, who essentially always does a build like this. So that was just a little bit of a guessing game on my part. And here we can see him spending all the chrono boosts on the units. Getting that early stock route will allow him to scout a little bit. Also, just having the initial zealots as well as the stalker, that is his defensive force instead of having a cannon here, and instead of having the earlier building wall. Also, getting the stalker out this early means that there's essentially no way I'm going to have Speedling in time to catch it with the Zerglings, so it's pretty much invincible. As long as he doesn't go on creep, that cannot be surrounded by Zerglings, so there's no way he'll lose it unless he messes up, which makes it a very valuable scouting unit. And at home, we can see he's building up probes, but he's not chrono boosting probes, he's not getting his 3rd and 4th gas. He's getting up to 3 gateways very quickly, and he was just chrono boosting that Warpgate upgrade. Also sending out this initial probe. A little bit of a mistake by him. He did not clear that watchtower before sending out the probe, therefore my 2 Zerglings were there to go and chase it down. He's still going to be able to get a pylon up, but it's a little bit less efficient. Less of a surprise than it would have been otherwise. And here we can see me moving into full Zergling production. I am a supply block there, so I can't make as many as I would like to, but still pretty good. And they're catching the stalker. Pretty bad mistake by him there. And he does manage to get the pylons up, but he loses the probe, so he cannot continue to push pylons forward. So that's a disadvantage for him. It's very important with this building to be active with your Zerglings and try and prevent pylons at all costs. He did get this pylon up. Had I been able to delay it, his rush would have been coming from much further back, would have been much slower and much less powerful. And every second counts in this situation. Normally, Warpgate opens up at 8 minutes. We see his rush is actually at my front door before 7 minutes. So this is a much, much faster version of the build than Zergs are used to dealing with. So timing is everything for this. And here we can see he doesn't have +1, but Zealot's still very, very efficient with Zerglings. And he's just spending all of his chrono boost on warp gates, so he's getting an incredible amount of Zealots very quickly. And there's no way I can really fight that off. However, as always, investing so much in one particular thing like the aggression leaves you pretty defenseless. He doesn't have a cannon here. He doesn't even have a unit blocking the wall. So I will realize that and take advantage of it pretty quickly. As I see this, I know there's no way I'm really going to be able to break that. So I take one last shot at breaking him. Have lots of Zerglings. Zergling speed's almost done. However, he'll still hold it off. As we can see, the efficiency of Zealots plus the additional warp is kicking in. And realizing that I'm not going to wear that down just straight head-on fights, and that he's building up an economy at home, I see his 3rd and 4th gas. I realize I have to do something else. So I send this group of Zerglings out to go and counterattack. And counterattacking against an aggressive opponent is usually a very, very good idea. If they do hold the counterattack while continuing to apply pressure, then you can be in a lot of trouble. However, more often than not, they'll be solely focused on the aggression, and they will have a hole like this. And if you get into their probe line, you kill a bunch of probes while defending at home. It just makes your life a million times easier. Here we can see he's lost mining at this base, he's lost a ton of probes, and at the same time, his attention was moved away from this attack. He missed my probe, went out, and got surrounded away from his pylon. Plus, he has to spend this warp in up here, which means he doesn't get to keep reinforcing at this location. So that little Zergling counter completely turned his game around. And it's almost always a good idea to be aggressive like that versus an aggressive opponent, because it just throws them off guard and makes them split their attention, which is always good. If they can put their whole attention on the attack, especially with Protoss, given the way that warping works, this situation will be very difficult for you. As is, I've held that off. I got into his base. I saw the Twilight Council. I know that he's going for a Blink Stalker follow-up. So at this point, I know it'll take that while for that to kick in, as he only had 3 gateways up. It's going to take him a few minutes to really build up the units he needs to be aggressive. So I have some time to drone up and get my double Evo chamber up and head up towards the lair and just start to transition into the mid-game. I also put down a baneling nest immediately, but you'll see me soon cancel that for Infestors as I see his Stalker count rising. Infestor Ling, obviously the hard counter to Blink Stalkers, as Zerglings versus Stalkers are a pretty good matchup, and Infestor nullifies the Blink ability. Also see the double upgrade coming. Anytime you want to play very Ling heavy, upgrades are of utmost importance. They just make them so much stronger. Also, a Templar Archives coming down from him is a really smart move. We've played a decent amount of times on the ladder. He knows I've been favoring that Ling baneling style. So getting the Templar Archives is a good move for him there. And here we did see me cancel the baneling nest, and I'll immediately put down an infestation pit now that my lair has finished, or at least sometime soon. Also continuing Zergling production now. I know that he's pretty all in. I see his probe count. I get these Zerglings in and see that he doesn't have a 4th gas yet. He doesn't have any more gateways. So I'm just going to produce pure units. I might be able to make a few more drones, but there's no reason to, as he's essentially all in. I also saw that Templar Archives, so I should be putting down a Roach Worm pretty soon. If you are playing Ling baneling and there's any possibility of Archons coming out, you absolutely have to have access to Roaches. You can overwhelm Archon builds with Ling Infestor or Ling baneling if you have enough of them, but it's incredibly inefficient, and Roaches, there goes the Roach Worm. Roach is obviously very good against Archons. So. And here I know I'd be able to surround him, and I also knew that the Archons were a potential threat, so I moved out and engaged immediately. Didn't allow him time to build up an Archon here. As we saw, I caught him with the 2 Templars, not yet more. That was the best possible situation for me. I just easily overwhelmed this attack, given my early advantage and the fact that I didn't try to overdrone upon seeing that he was going to do a secondary all-in. So now I have Infestor tech coming, Roach tech coming, and he has almost no workers. You see a 47 to 31 worker advantage for me, which is at this point pretty game ending, given that I also have 3 bases, 3 queen production, a 4th hatchery on the way, and he's stuck on 2 bases with pretty insufficient tech. And so here he just kind of has to sit and build up. At this point the game is already lost, but he's just going to go for one final all-in, even though at this point I've already pretty much doubled his supply. Also chrono boosting out probes, which is a really odd situation. There's no way he's going to get back into an economic game he should be spending all of his chrono boost on units just to go for that final all-in. Odd choice by him, not really sure why he's doing that. But again, at this point, nothing really matters. I'm starting to build up roaches. Roaches are great at holding off low supply count all-ins because they're very, very cost efficient, but very supply inefficient. So if you know that you're going to be fighting, obviously given that they don't have a bunch of immortals or pure blink soccer or something of that sort, if you know you're going to be fighting below 200 food, it's a good idea to make roaches versus all-ins. But as you get up towards the 200 food limit, then roaches become less and less efficient as they take up way too much supply, and you just can't have enough of them to be very effective. And here we see his just absolutely tiny army moving out relative to mine. I go in and poke, look for a counterattack. He is aware that I was going for counterattacks throughout all of the game, so he already has that Argon there. But it does force him to spend a warp in here, which was an odd decision by him, given that the rest of his army is out here in the middle of the map. So upon seeing how weak it is, I'm just going to go in for the kill and finish him off. And we see, obviously, just absolutely overwhelmed with like 20 years for him doing it. And that all came down to that holding that early game aggression. Everything after that was kind of a moot point. But yeah, that is how you deal with that super, super early Warpgate rush that a lot of Protoss has been favoring to carry and catch Zerg off guard. Counterattacks are very important, and activity with your Zerglings and trying to limit their pylon placement, catch early probes, is just absolutely crucial. More often than not, that build is designed to come out before you're supposed to be able to deal with it. That's the entire point of it. So you're going to have to kind of make something happen with your Zerglings. This has been an EG replay review. If you enjoyed this content, please go to our website, evilgeniuses.net, to check out a bunch of other similar videos. And thank you for watching.